Welcome to the Terry Jaymes Show, a show with a theme song. Nobody else has that. All right, guys, this is my weekly collection of inspiration. When things hit me, I run into the studio, I start talking about it. Motivation, desperation, humiliation, could be a joke. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth, but I come in here and I record it. So it's good to have you here. And if you're watching on YouTube today, welcome. I don't know why people sit there and watch somebody talk, but I made it more visually beautiful for you today. For some of you think that high-rise buildings have a certain beauty to them. Most of you are like, look, Dad, Terry, why are you doing that in the city? Which I also understand, okay? I have the drapes open. I've got the sliding door open. I got a breeze coming in. So at some time during this intro and the outro of today's show, if you hear a siren, don't worry. It's just a crack guy down the street who got shot in the forehead. Don't worry about it. It's Seattle. You know, it is what Fox News tells you it is. Don't come here. You big pussies. All right, hey, listen, just had a 4-day weekend on the Oregon coast. I got to see some friends, got to hang out with them. I got to see my sister and my brother-in-law. It was really, really good for the soul. It was fantastic for the soul. Sometimes you got to do things for your soul. But on today's show, first of all, before we go, I want to let you know on today's show, we're going to be taking some phone calls. And you can leave a message for me anytime you want at terryjaymes.com, TRYJAYMES.com. And on the bottom right-hand portion of the website or on your cellular phone, you're going to see a little microphone icon on the bottom right-hand portion. Just click on that, you leave a message, and it comes right to me. And then we play it. So be prepared for that. On today's show, guys, let's see here. How do I set this up the best? If you're having problems with people, and it's always seems to be you're having an issue with somebody at work, then another issue with somebody at work, and then maybe there's someone else at work that's pissing you off, or there's someone in your family that's pissing you off. When you're done with them, you're pissed off at that person in the family. You're going to need to look a little deeper into your soul. And today we're going to go a little deeper on that as well. Plus, you hear about athletes losing a step. We've all heard that, right? We've heard that shit. Well, I'll tell you what, not necessarily the truth when it comes to mortals, everyday people like us. There's another way to look at this that will make, I think, you and aging nothing to even worry about. Okay, but let's just get this whole thing going, shall we? Let's get things going. Almost just had a porn fantasy come true. Right before I was coming in here to record this, just moments ago, there's a little knock on the door, just a slight little, like somebody's afraid to even knock on the door. I look out the peephole, and there's this beautiful Hispanic woman standing there. And I open the door and she goes, "Hi, it's Laura." And she's just staring at me. And I'm going, "Oh, you must be here for the sex." No, she was at the wrong place, at the wrong apartment. Apparently she is a maid, and she went to the wrong place. And I'm ashamed at where my mind goes still at this age. I am ashamed at where my mind still goes. It's like all the porn fantasies start coming true. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that's not why I'm here right now. I want to talk to you about something that happened over the weekend. I was reminded over the weekend about a time in my life when I used to play in these basketball tournaments at Laguna Beach. If anybody ever has been out there, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I'm going to paint a little picture for you real quick. 2 courts right on the water, right on the sand. Okay? Sun in your eyes, wind, the whole thing. But very, very competitive 3-on-3 basketball action. And I was there for a tournament, playing in a tournament. And when I say competitive, I'm talking about guys from UCLA and USC and professional basketball players would come play in these basketball tournaments, these 3-on-3 tournaments. And I was playing in a 3-on-3 tournament against a guy that was on the Lakers. His name was Mark Landsberger. And I remember we beat his team so bad, and he got so pissed off. I watched him take off his shoes, and he threw them in the trash can and walked off into the sunset. Hilarious. But in my mind, it always hit me like, wow, one of these days, I'm going to be taking off my shoes and walking into the sunset, never to be playing basketball again. And that happened. That happened a long time ago. It happened when I found something else that I loved, because basketball was the thing that I loved the most in my life. It's all I ever thought about. But I found another love, and that was the show business shit. And, I just continued on with that. But this weekend, I did a little something active, played a little pickleball with Sherry and a couple friends. And this other friend was an ex-professional basketball player who played, a little older than me. But we got out there, and we just realized it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing what you have in your mind as to what the reality is. And it was hard to bend. It was hard to do everything. And I walk a lot. And I always think that's enough activity. That's enough. I walk, 5-6 miles a day just by doing things, living downtown. Hardly ever use my car, hardly ever do anything like that. I walk to the grocery store, to the bank, to the this, to the that. I walk everywhere. And I keep thinking that's enough. But you know what? It's not enough, guys. It is not enough. You've heard the term use it or lose it. Slap me in the face this weekend, like a little bitch slap right in the face. You got to start using it more, Terry. Luckily, I'm still at an age where I can use it or lose it. If I wanted to train for a marathon right now, I could go run a marathon. I mean, I'd have to train for it, obviously, but I have to find something I absolutely love. I want to find an activity that I love, and pickleball ain't going to be it. As much as Sherry wants me to play pickleball, that ain't going to be it. I like playing it. It'll be fun, but that's not going to be enough activity for me. For me to achieve my goals of living a longer, happy, healthy life, you got to put the work into it. It's just not going to happen. And man, it slapped me right in the face. I have to come up with a real schedule. I've been working out. I've been doing things like that, but I need to come up with a real schedule and find out some things that I absolutely love doing. So I got to get in the process of that. Plus I got that goal with Sherry that when we both become 70 years old, we're going to become the couples model that has been seen on, you go on cruise ships and there's the couple looking and holding each other or looking at a resort somewhere or something like that. The typical white people, they dress. I could see a picture of me, with my white rolled up pants walking down the beach with my silver-haired hottie. Okay, maybe not. Hey, it's a goal, isn't it? But none of this shit's going to happen if you don't commit to it, Terry. I'm not telling you this. I'm not lecturing you. This is all for me. Commit to this shit, Terry. Commit to it. Find something you love, because after this weekend and the fact that my balance wasn't the same, my flexibility obviously not the same. But I wonder if I can turn back the clock a little bit. I know everybody wants to turn back the clock, but I think you could probably get yourself a little better, but I think you could keep yourself in a zone for a longer time. So when I do hit 70, when I do hit, God hope I hit 80, and all that I am still active and, energetic and ready to go. Especially mentally, too. I know mentally you got to use it or lose it as well. But damn, man, this weekend, feeling me trying to play something as simple as pickleball? What a fucking loser, man. Oh, it's me, not you. What a great way to dumb somebody. Hey, man, it has nothing to do with you at all. It's all me. We have no problem accepting responsibility or blaming ourselves if it gets us out of shit. And by that means dating somebody that you want to get rid of or whatever. But we don't do it in regular life, do we? I got to talk to you about something here that it's a little embarrassing, but I think I learned a lot about this. You know, if you're somebody or know somebody that always has issues with somebody, and for me, it was early on in the Lex and Terry show. I always had somebody on my shit list. I felt like I always needed to have somebody on my shit list, and that means on the staff. I was a bit of a perfectionist at the start, and now I think I've swung past that, but I think I've gone the other way a little too much. I can't find my sweet spot. But early on in the Lex and Terry show, I was always at odds with somebody for some reason. Some of them were legit. Some of them manifested. Mostly it was because I had a hard time communicating and letting people know what I expected of them. Or the way I had a segment in my mind, I wanted this to go from point A to point B to point C, and it didn't go that way, and it would piss me off. And I'd always have issues with my coworkers. I would always have issues with my coworkers. And it hit me that I started to think, it's always me that's having issues with them. I always have an issue with this person or that person or this person. So guess what? It's me. Hard pill to swallow. Hard pill to swallow when, you just, because your pride and you want to be right about stuff. It's a really tough position to be in. And this happens with family members. This happens with your friends. This happens with coworkers. If you're always at odds with one of your friends, it's probably you because you're the one that's always doing it. And people refuse to look at that. People refuse to look at it. I looked at it and I still listen. That doesn't mean I still don't have little dust ups with coworkers or friends or family members. I mean, certain friends right now, I'm kind of kicking some of them to the curb. I'm shaking the tree because they just bum me the fuck out when I'm around them. I've never really had issues with the family members because if we go back to last week, I am a people pleaser. But when it comes to my job, when it comes to my profession, when it comes to my product and my brand, if you weren't following it my way, fuck you. That's the way I was. Wasn't very fair. It's painful to think back at some of the things I may have said and may have done. And that's what I am looked at amongst people that I used to work with. But if you're one of those people that always has issues with somebody, start thinking about it. If you're at work and you've got, or your family, or if you're the one that always has issues, I guarantee you're the problem. You are the problem. Fix it. Figure it out. Accept some fucking responsibility. Apologize to the people you need to apologize to, and then fucking hold yourself to a higher standard and then do it. That's the way I did it. I'm still not 100% perfect, but I guarantee you, I have problems still with, like I said, with some friends and some coworkers, and those are just little momentary things. I think I've turned into be a very fair person to work with. And sometimes when being a very fair person, you say things still that upset people because they're not hearing what they want to hear. I've been accused, you don't have my back. Well, you were wrong. Why do I have to have your back just because we're partners? You were wrong. It's not a fun position to be in. But if you're that person, I wish there was a litmus test of how you could tell, but just start to pay attention. Do you have issues with people? Then it's probably your fault. You're probably a big part of the problem. You're an egomaniac. You're power hungry. You're egotistical, all that stuff. I already said that, didn't it? That's because my ego's so big. I needed to say it fucking twice to remind myself. And if you're not part of the problem, I guarantee you, you know somebody who always has an issue with this friend or this coworker or this family member. You know somebody like that. Slap him in the face and say, hey, play this for him. I'll look at it right. You're the problem. Fix it, or nobody's going to trust you anymore. Nobody's going to like you anymore. People are going to have enough of you if you don't fix it. Nobody's going to go to bat for you if you're a coworker. Nobody's going to go to bat for you if you're a friend. They're going to go, fuck this guy. They're eventually going to say that. Family members may be a little more lenient, but not much more. Not much more. Once again, if it's not you, cool. You're perfect. Good for you. But if it is you, I don't, maybe we could come together and we could figure out how to do some sort of, I don't know, seminar on how to admit it's your fault, that you seem to be the one that has the problem with everybody. And then do what you got to do to fix it. But to be able to fix it, you can't be crazy. You have to want to have a healthy mind. You have to want to get along with others. You have to want to enjoy the process. You have to want to enjoy spending time with your family or spending time with your friends. And there's certain things you overlook, absolutely. But if it's always you and somebody else and you and somebody else or you and somebody else like it was with me, like I said, there was always somebody on my shit list. And I was kind of proud of that for some reason. Like I said, that was years ago. And like I said, I still have dust-ups. I still get frustrated. I'm a horrible, horrible manager. I don't want to be a manager. For me right now, I'm either in the position of being an asshole or letting people run me the fuck over. I can't find that sweet spot yet. But I'll take the let people run me the fuck over because I know where I'm headed. All right, guys. I don't know what else to say. Thanks. Hey, thanks for being here. Oh, and the wrong fucking thing. You know, with all the playoffs going on, all the sports right now, it's pretty in front of us on television. And you always hear, oh, he's losing a step. He's getting softer, which is probably true. Well, absolutely it is true. Your physical abilities diminish, especially if you're playing at a high level like they are. We're not playing at that high of a level as people here. There's nothing wrong with losing a step or quote unquote getting softer. In fact, I think for people that are not elite athletes, or if you're not trying to do something physical, if you're just a person like us, I think the older you get, you're just showing basically who you've been all along. You're not putting on that facade, that charade that you had going on. You don't have to be the tough guy. You don't have to be Mr. in charge. You choose your battles wisely, is what they say. Let's be honest, man, putting on a front is exhausting. And the quicker you learn to take that out of your life, man, you're just going to benefit from basically acting older. Seriously, man, if you're listening to this right now and you're like 25 years old and you got all that peer pressure going on and you've got to live up to everybody else's expectations instead of your own, you're blowing it. You're absolutely blowing it. There's nothing wrong with, let's just say, taking a beat, as they say in acting world, where you just take a breath. You take a second before you react. You take a second before you take somebody's head off. Doesn't mean you can't take somebody's head off who deserves it, but it doesn't have to be that all the time. I just really believe that, and maybe I'm just saying this to make myself and people in the same position as me feel better, but I really believe that right now I'm just about to do some of my best work. As far as the Lex and Terry show goes, I think we're doing great. The ratings are great. The team is great. It's a lot of fun. It's taken me forever to figure this shit out, but I'm in a groove right now. It's taken me a long time. And the only reason why I got in the groove is because I took a breath before reacting. I got a little softer. I lost a step, if that's the way you want to look at it. But you don't have to be or live up to what you want people to perceive you. Just be you, man. Just be you. You know? Don't waste all that energy on trying to be something for somebody else, man. It's, I think we're all in a good position here. I think we're all in a really, really, really good position. All right, looking at my email here. Just a couple seconds ago, realized there are some calls that people have been leaving me. It's very easy to do this. If you'd like to make a comment about the show or you have a question, anything you want to say, I mean, anything at all, I'm going to put it on there. Whatever you want. I don't like listening to the calls beforehand. Most hosts would like to know what's coming their way. Are you throwing me a curveball? Are you going to give me some chin music on this thing? But no, I don't like to know. I don't know why. It would be the professional thing to do, to have an answer prepared, to know if the call's shit or not. Am I wasting your time? But at this point, we're all in this together. These are hard ones coming my way. I have no idea. I have no idea what's coming my way. But you can do it. Just go to terryjaymes.com. And all you got to do is look at the microphone in the lower right-hand portion of the page. Doesn't matter if you're on your cell phone. It doesn't matter if you're on my website. Just click on that, and you'll be able to record it, fill out what it is to do, and it comes my way. And the recordings are usually pretty good, I mean, as far as quality goes. So let's go ahead and get going. Let's go ahead and answer. I only got a few of these.
Hey, Terry. It's Bettina from
Hey,
Jacksonville.
Bettina.
And I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoy the show. I really do. And I'm so glad that you're doing this. And you know what? I'm not the only one who enjoys it. My daughter, who just turned 30, a lot of her friends that are even younger than that, people my age, and people even older. So you're reaching such a wide, diverse group of people. And that is so cool. And another thing that I really enjoy about listening to you.
The hell happened there? Oh, that's, I guess the mic went out. I guess a mute or something, because it still says there's something there playing, but there's no sound coming out. I'm sorry, Bettina. I don't know what happened. I have no clue. Damn it, you were going to say something nice, too. That's what sucks. Story of my life. Reminds me of when I was, one of my anniversaries. I just celebrated my 30th anniversary a couple weeks ago with Sherry. And I remember, I don't know what it was. It was one of the first few. I remember we went out to eat. And we get done having a nice romantic dinner on the beach. This is in St. Augustine, Florida. We get in the car. I'm going, okay, you know what? It is, it's that time. It's anniversary. We're going to get home. We're going to have a little bit of something time, have a good time there. We get in the car, and I figure I'm going to start buttering her up. And I start saying all this stuff about, man, all the stuff that you should say to the person you love the most in your life. And I was digging deep on this, man. I started right in the car, right? Because we lived very close to where this restaurant was. So it was almost like a 5-minute drive or something like that. And I start spilling out my guts. And then I look over and Sherry's asleep with her head on the window. So, anywho, listen, people don't take time out of their day anymore to say something nice to people. We live in that world, man. We live in that world where people are just trying to snipe you, especially if you're doing something. If you're taking a chance and doing something, let this be a fair warning to any of you, whether you're going to be writing a book or painting or doing your own podcast or going back to school or whatever it is, there's going to be somebody there to try to knock your ass down. People like it when you stay at a certain level. People don't want to see you succeed. A lot of people don't. The people that want to see you succeed, the people that are cheering you on the most, those are your people. Those are your people. So, Bettina, thank you so much. You are my people, and I really appreciate you so much. And I'm sorry about the phone thing. Right after I was saying the quality was good, it drops out. Typical. All right, let's go take another call here. Let's do this.
Hey, Terry Jaymes, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Dan.
I'm down here in Tacoma, Washington. Here,
Nice.
obviously you're in Seattle. I was wanting to know a lot of stuff you talk about on the radio show, and also now I watched a couple of I've watched and also listened to some of your podcasts now, very inspirational and all. And then the fire alarm deal, dude. Don't front on that dude, man, for real. I mean, Sherry, from what I see from all the posts and all that deal, she's a kick-ass chicken all that deal, and yeah, she got your back, regardless, man. I mean, if she's been with you for this long with all the dick jokes and all that deal, you got this, bro. And also, and what you've been telling me, what you've been saying is very, very inspirational and all that deal. I listen hard, and the other folks don't know telling you how you doing it wrong. Fuck them. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
So be you, man.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Be you.
Oh,
That's
thank
all
you.
that matters. Just be you.
His name's Steve
So
from
I'm
Tacoma.
gonna continue listening to what you got now, and yeah, peace out, bro.
Peace out to you, man. Thank you so much, Steve. Look at that, taking time to say something nice and support me. He's obviously gone back and listened to the very first thing I said where, I lost Sherry's trust a little bit with the very first version of this podcast, The Cult of You. I thought it was a good idea. I don't want to explain the whole thing again. But bottom line, spent a bunch of money to get some experts to tell me how to do things, the proper days to post it, the proper thises and the that's and the things and the bibs. And they're probably right. They probably could have got me 1 billion listeners right out of the box. But what good would that be if I'm not having fun, right? What good would that be if I'm trying to do a podcast for them and not me and you? So that sucks. But thank you so much, Steve, for having my back on this one. And you're absolutely right, man. At this point, I'm just trusting my gut. And another Sherry update. I'm going to give you these from time to time because people are very concerned about this. I have to point out that Sherry's not being mean about it. She's not punishing me or anything like that because, the things didn't work out the very first time, I think. But she doesn't ask about this podcast. She doesn't say how'd it go, what's the response been, getting any downloads, making any money. She never asked that. But to be fair, she never asked that about the podcast we're on, The Gang of Two, or any of the other things that I do. She always kind of lets me be me. And at first I took that as, God, she couldn't give a fuck about me. She's not cheering me on at all. But you know what? I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it because we live obviously we live together, but we spend a lot of time together. And this gives me an opportunity to kind of stretch my wings a little bit. So I really appreciate you, Steve. Really do, down there in Tacoma, just down the street, baby. Come on up. Let's hang out, my friend. All right, we got time for one more, and that's all we have is one more. So what am I saying? We have time. I'm on a big time constraints here.
Hello, Terry Jimmy.
Oh.
This is your best friend, Jane Asher, calling in. Hey, I had a thought after I spoke with you on my show, and we covered quite a few deep topics, but one I didn't get a chance to ask you is, what would you like your legacy to be once you check out of here and into the next room? Okay, thank you very much. Loving the shows. I mean, really, really good. I think that you finally figured it out. That's only taken you, 40 years?
Oh, shit. Oh, more than that. But anyway, Jane Asher is a very, very good friend of mine. I've known her for years. We used to work at the same radio station in Santa Barbara. We used to do a show together in Santa Barbara. She's fantastic. She has a podcast now called The Next Room. I've already talked about her on this show before, where she's like a big, she knows a lot about the death stuff and how to handle it. And it's a very odd podcast to do for her. But if there's anybody in the world that should be doing it, it's her. She puts a great picture on a very horrible subject of death. And it doesn't have to be horrible. And that's what she's pointing out. So it's called The Next Room, if you want to check that out. So thank you, Jane. Let's see here. Legacy. You know, it used to be really important to me, thinking about legacy, you know, but I've had so many versions of me. Some of them have been, I don't want to say legacy worthy, but most of them have been, you know, pretty shitty. It's just, I've had so many versions. I wouldn't know which version of me would be the legacy version. So the more I think about it, and right now I'm in a stage here where when I'm done, when I'm gone, hopefully well before I'm gone, when I'm out of this podcast business and the radio business and all that, if I ever do leave it, I don't know if I'm ever going to leave it. I love this type of stuff. But at some point, I think I just want to delete it all. I just want to delete it all. So I'm here to tell you, if there's something you like, you better download it and save it, because in my mind, I'm dumping everything. Legacy only lasts, 2-3 generations? Otherwise, you're just dead, you know? And it sucks, you know, and I've never been really good at anything. That's another thing. To have a legacy, I think you have to be really, really good at something. You know, I've done radio, never been the top of my game. Obviously very successful, but I've not been the shit, you know. And acting, I was just a guy who got on a show. Didn't know how to do it, not very good. Stand-up comedy, not a headliner. You know, I can do a lot of things, and I can do a lot of things well, but I haven't mastered any of them. And right now on this podcast, I'm not trying to master on how to do a podcast. I'm trying to master my life and share it with you guys. And you guys share with me, and we all kind of get through this together. I'm so sick of the self-help industry. So many of these people are frauds, man. So many of these people are frauds. Do I think you should be able to make a lot of money if you help a lot of people out? Absolutely. I said that really fast, didn't I? Hoping it would skip by you. But yeah, I wouldn't mind making this my job, talking to you guys all the time. I wouldn't mind that at all. But it's not. Not yet. I think people, as far as legacy goes, people are going to remember you the way they choose to remember you. That's it. If there's some story that continues on about me that through the generations, great. Chances are it's going to be embellished. Like the time that I walked on the moon or something like that. You know, it's, you know, I really, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, Jane. I don't care that much about it. What's more important to me right now is the now. Am I being a good husband? And that's daily. That's a daily thing. I've talked about this on previous podcasts before, versions of this podcast, that Sherry and I do this thing at night when we go to bed. And it doesn't happen every single night, but I'd say a majority of the time it happens where one of us will lean over to the other just before we fall asleep. And we'll ask each other a very important question, or what's important to us. But it's going to be nothing that gets y'all riled up. It's like, did I treat you well today? Did I show you that I loved you today? And oftentimes we'll go, yeah, and you did this, and it was really cool, so thank you very much. And you go to bed. It's not a long discussion. It's just a good way to end the night. But, and if there's anything that somebody can take away from this show and add to their life, do it, please. It works. But as far as legacy goes, I'm just trying my best to be a great husband. I would love this podcast to become something, but it's such a niche market. This isn't a mass appeal thing. I'm not taking my shirt off, and I'm not doing body shots, and I'm not bringing strippers in here, and I'm not bringing controversial guests in here. This is just hopefully a feel better after you listen to it. You know I feel better after recording it. I always feel real good when I'm done doing this. And I have. This is episode number 6, I believe it is. And every single one of them, I've been pretty proud of. I don't think that that's going to be legacy worthy, but I choose to do right now, be in the now, and do something that matters every day. If you see somebody that needs a little help them out. You need somebody a little advice. You need somebody who needs to get bitch slapped a little bit. Wake them up. Take them by the lapels and, that type of stuff. But I think it's a great question. Thank you very much, Jane. I really do appreciate the question. Right now, like I said, I have been very concerned about my legacy in the past, but right now I'm not so much at all. Not so much at all. Like I said, we kind of turned to dust. Who knows what this world's going to be? We're just this little teeny things of this big giant space. And the more I learned about that, the more I realized how insignificant we truly are. And the only thing that we're in control of is our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day thoughts. Do you want to be in a good mood? Do you want to hang out with good people? You have choices. And right now, my choice is to not be concerned about legacy. Just be concerned about being the best dude I could be. Like I said, there have been many versions of me. This one's not so bad. But I also want to leave room here and say, you know what? I could go back and be concerned about legacy later. It's what I love about being a person. You're allowed to change your mind. How many times have you said to somebody, I don't like going to Mexican food and it's horrible. I don't want that. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you like it and people go, what the fuck's wrong with you? You used to say you hate it. You know what? You are free to change your mind at any time. Luckily enough, when I change my mind, I'd hopefully do it with a little bit more knowledge than I had beforehand. I'll be honest. I grew up, I'm an older guy. When you're running around with your kids, you had no idea as kids what you were saying and what you were doing. For example, the way you're so gay, you're such a, that type of stuff. And you don't know what you're saying. You don't know what's going on. So once you learn more, you expand more and you change your mind more. If you want to have an open mind, you have to want to do it. You have to want to have an open mind. You have to want to wake up every single morning and be the best. I hate it when people say be the best possible version of you. I want to stay away from all those fucking cliche things on this show, but they keep coming out, don't they? You hear something and you repeat it, just like the news nowadays. Anyway, just do something that fucking matters, all right? And we'll get through all this together, won't we? Well, there you go. Another episode of the Terry Jaymes Show. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. It means the world, man. I'm having a blast doing this. Sharing the show is how this thing grows. If you guys wouldn't mind helping me, I'd appreciate it. Doesn't happen without you guys. Otherwise, I'm just a dude sitting in a room crying about his life. Like a normal day. I just went to reach for my glasses and they weren't there. All right, guys, listen, thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'm going to try to do something a little later on this week, possibly on Sunday. We'll see. I don't want to promise anything yet. I don't want to be that guy. But anyway, everybody have a wonderful week, and I really appreciate you guys listening to another episode of the Terry Jaymes Show. Thanks for sharing it, guys.